Welcome to New Bedford Creative, where we go behind the scenes and meet people who make arts and culture of the city come to life. I'm your host, Margot Saulnier, and today we're at the Roach Jones Duff House and Garden Museum. We're here with Dawn Salerno, Executive Director of the Roach Jones Duff House and Garden Museum. Hi, Dawn.
Hi, Margot. Nice to be here.
Great, it's great to be here. How long have you been Executive Director here, and what are some of the programs that you've done and that you want to do in the future?
We have some long-standing programs that have been favorites of our kind of regular donors and members for years. So we still do those programs. Those are things like concerts with the New Bedford Symphony. Obviously not the whole symphony comes, but we have 2 or 3 musicians come and play in the parlors. And you might have heard of chamber music or parlor music. Our parlors are a great place to hear live music because you're right up close with those musicians. And it is a lot like what the residents of this house might have experienced in the 19th and 20th centuries. And actually, Mrs. Duff, Beatrice Duff, had Thursday, I believe she called them musicales, Thursdays where people would come to her parlor and listen to musicians play. So some of what we do is semi-historic, but with our contemporary artists of today. And then we also try to do programs that might be appealing to, let's say, a younger audience, but not necessarily only a younger audience. We have a history happy hour now, which starts with the mixing of a cocktail of some kind and is followed by a short talk about an object in our collection. So we have that series. We have lots of talks from different types of speakers. Since we are a garden here as well, that's in our title, as you know. We have sometimes talks on gardens, talks on architecture, talks on historical topics that are contemporaneous with the residents here. So we like to say it's a range to attract a range of audiences.
So today's exhibit is Reimagined Histories. What was your inspiration to bring Laura Christensen here?
Well, Laura was introduced to me, I think when I first took this position almost 3 years ago, and I was so new that we had a mutual friend that said to me, you know, there's this artist that works on historic photos, and maybe if you wanted to do something contemporary, because I have an art background, an art history background, this friend of ours thought that it might make a good meshing of my background with the museum itself and the historic house. And I remember at that time thinking, like, no, you know, we're not going to do that. And as I settled in more, I realized actually this is the perfect special exhibition to bring to the RJD because it is both what we hope to do with a lot of our programs and even our current exhibitions is to be relevant today.
It's my pleasure to introduce you to visual artist Laura Christensen, and she is here to tell us a little bit about the new exhibit she is installing at the museum this spring. Now you'll see I'm wearing a mask. We are still in the time of the COVID-19 pandemic, so we are following all of the guidelines and social distancing mandate. So Laura, can you tell us a little bit about your background and the inspiration behind the work that you are presenting here?
Sure. I'm a visual artist. I've been making work for 20 or 30 years. Some people would say my whole life. It was during my Masters of Fine Arts program that I started drawing and painting on old photographs that I'd found. So these photographs are, they're just languishing in attics and basements, maybe even your own. I find them when people give them to me or in antique stores. The personal connections that these photographs once had are lost by the time I find them. So it's easy to imagine other scenarios, to imagine the people in the images in new situations than what they were before.
We're here in this exhibit room where it's very clear that these are your artworks within the photos, but then they are placed throughout the museum as well, along with original photographs that were already here. So, you know, unless you know what you're looking for, you could just walk by and not realize that this is a new creation.
The artwork that's in the dining room is one of the ones you could possibly walk by and not know that it's an artwork until you look closely. It includes fragments of images from that fantastic wallpaper around the dining room. It's meant to emulate 18th and early 19th century Chinese painting. And so you get that, these beautiful, fantastical birds and blooming trees. And I just imagined being like a girl growing up in this house, say, with that wallpaper, and letting my imagination fly, as if the wallpaper came to life.
Laura, as you said, you paint on these photographs. How do you do that? What's your method?
Well, I find the photograph, and I do, before, you know, they're one of a kind as far as I know. I only have this one, so, you know, it's not like a blank canvas, or if I mess up, I can just get another blank canvas. So I sketch a lot and really make sure I know what I want to do, plan it out very carefully, draw it onto the photo. I do seal the photo then, and then it's up on my easel, and I use acrylic paint on top of the sealed photograph, and as far as the painting work goes, I start with the bigger shapes, which are actually very small, before I get to the details, and then I work on the details. And then I do varnish it. And then I also frame the work in these kind of shadow box frames, and I'm a bit of a woodworker as well, so I make the frames myself. And many of them have a velvet background, which seems to kind of set the photograph off in a nice, not too modern kind of way to go along with the old photos.
We are here with Viera Levitt, who is the Director of Galleries for UMass Dartmouth. First, Viera, thank you so much for welcoming us into your space here. Can you tell our audience about the gallery space here in downtown New Bedford?
Yeah, we are at Star Store right now, which is the second campus of UMass Dartmouth that we use for visual art. It's College for Visual and Performing Arts, and I'm running the gallery inside of this building. And it's, you know, this year is a little harder, but we're really looking forward to have more audiences coming our way and seeing what we have in store for them. And right now we are installing MFA thesis exhibition, but we have shows that are usually for, you know, several months. And we welcome people to come over and check it out. And not only inside, but we are trying to focus more on programming for the outside, so it's easier to see it from the street.
Yeah, that has been really interesting. So one of the things that you have been doing over the course of this year is activating the corner location, which is on Union Street and Purchase Street. Thank you. What's that been like for you?
Well, it's exciting because we have a time tickets right now for people to come to the gallery, but it's you know, it's not easy to get people in and make them feel comfortable. For us to actually break this like fourth wall and go out and have audiences safely on the street is really doing what we like to do, which is creating sense of community and being together. And we had a lot of people saying like, it almost feels normal to be, seeing art, seeing music, or watching something together here on the street. So it's very satisfying.
That's great. What type of programs have you been doing in the gallery on the corner?
The Swain Studio has, we are programming it together with Beatrice Oliveira and Don Burton, and it's been a combination of visual arts, music, poetry, and performing arts. So there's something for everybody, and we are trying to involve our students too, and involve the local community.
You're also streaming it live, correct?
We are streaming also live every Thursday through the end of April on our Facebook page, UMass Dartmouth CVPA, and it's also going to be archived. So all the 13 weeks of the series is going to be on that page for people to enjoy later too.
Vera, is there anything that I missed that you want our audience to know?
I'd like people to know that they can still visit the gallery, even though it's not always obvious. For now, we have a policy of time ticket, which is free through our website, CVPA at UMass Dartmouth, and they can come, reserve the time slot, and just enjoy the exhibition here.
My name is Pepper Travers, and I played guitar and ukulele in honor of my family who died in the Holocaust. And I was really honored to be playing here with my grandmother and my mother. And I'm just really happy that all these people came so we could share our family story.
We're here with Lawrence Jenkins, the Dean of the College of Visual and Performing Arts for UMass Dartmouth. Thank you, Dean, for being with us today.
Thank you for having me.
How long have you been the dean here, and can you tell our audience about the College of Visual and Performing Arts?
Sure. I came to UMass Dartmouth in July of 2019, so it's been 2 years. It feels longer. The COVID year was a very strange one. The College of Visual and Performing Arts offers degrees in visual arts, in design, in art history, art education, music, and music education. We do it at the undergraduate and at the graduate levels.
And there are 2 campuses, so there's one in Dartmouth, and we are here in downtown New Bedford, correct?
Indeed. We have a building on main campus where we have a lot of our undergraduate programming in the design areas and where music is located. The Star Store, into which we moved in 2001, was originally designed for our kind of semi-industrial arts and applied arts, so metalworking, jewelry, metals, sculpture, ceramics, textiles, and so on and so forth.
So you mentioned that the college moved in here in 2001, and we are filming this interview in 2021, so you're celebrating your 20th anniversary?
We are. We will have been in this space for 20 years in the fall. It's been a really exciting ride for us. We're obviously looking forward to the next 20.
You said the next 20 years. What do you envision for that?
I think New Bedford could be like Providence has become, and that is a regional design hub. We already have design businesses that are here and sort of fly under the radar screen. We need to bring all of that into the forefront, and I think the Star Store can play an enormous role in that process, while at the same time providing our students with a first-class education as well as exposure to the real world in terms of professional experiences.
Well, we appreciate CVPA and all of your work, the faculty's work, and the inspiration for the recent STAR series, which, during a pandemic year has been a respite for many people to be able to come downtown. Where did the inspiration of that series come from?
The idea for a performance that was visible to an audience on the street, but could be distanced from them as well, really came from one of my advisory board members, E. Brown, who's very interested in dance, and she was thinking about alternative dance venues, and she said, "Oh, wouldn't it be cool?" And I thought, that'd be really cool, and that's sort of how the idea came to pass.
It's so valuable for the students, and it's so valuable for us as residents and professionals in the area. So I thank you for sharing that with us today, Dean Jenkins.
Thank you.
We are here with Tracy Cockrell, the artist in residence for UMass Dartmouth College of Visual and Performing Arts. Tracy, welcome.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
So I know this has been an unusual year given the pandemic. What would a typical year for an artist in residence be like?
Well, I think typically the artist in residence would be on campus, living on campus with the students, helping students find their way around, especially freshmen, understand the kind of art resources that are not only part of the campus, but are in New Bedford and Fall River and cities and areas. So typically, if it had been a normal year, I'd be taking students out to AHA night in person and helping them find the galleries and get a feel for the art scene in the cities, and exploring and getting them off campus. And then having a studio of my own set up where I'd be making my own work ongoing, and students could come and visit me in the studio to see what I'm working on. And then also, and I think maybe perhaps most exciting for me as an artist, having the opportunity to reach out to other colleges and other faculty across the university and start conversations with a bit more ease than COVID has allowed.
You have given a presentation as part of the CVPA Star Series.
Yes.
In the Swain studio. What was that experience like?
Well, as far as performances go, it was actually a really lovely experience. And I actually found that it was comforting to be inside the gallery on a stage and looking out through the windows onto the street to an audience. It changed the tenor of my relationship to the audience in some good ways and in some challenging ways. And I give a good shout out to Beatrice and Dawn and Vera for the work that they have done. They are just masterful at putting on these kinds of very complex events.
Well, I walk up and down Union Street a lot and was immediately drawn to the typewriters that were in the window. So that is your work, isn't it?
It is. Those are experimental musical instruments that I call poemophones. They are instruments that you can use to turn language into sound and then experiment with compositions and play around with language and meaning.
I can only hope that the Christmas gifts I get for you are halfway as perfect for you. As this is for me.
We are here with Rosie Amato Bauer, a student here at College of Visual and Performing Arts. Rosie, what year are you? What are you studying? And what have you been involved with?
I'm a junior majoring in integrated studio arts, and my primary involvement outside of the program is working here in the gallery. So I help set up installing exhibitions and then de-installing and preparing the gallery for the next one. and then with different events involved with the gallery. So I've been involved a lot with the Star Series as well.
What's that been like? Because that's quite unusual for events here, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been really, I've learned a lot just because it integrates using the internet, using video mediums, and then it's also a physical event where there's people attending and gathering outside. And they often have me do the closing remarks, so there's some public speaking involved, coordinating the logistics of it. So it's a bit exciting. It feels like every week it's kind of a big production.
After you graduate, you still have another year, but I'm sure that you're thinking about it. Like, what would you like to do afterwards?
For me, I'm interested in going into museum work, absolutely, and working in the gallery has been a great preparation for that. I think it flexes my creative muscles, and then also is really task-based and about problem solving and getting things done in short amount of time, so I found that really fun. And then I also hope to continue making my own work. I do a lot in jewelry and in textiles, so finding ways to do some of that on the side and maybe eventually building enough of a clientele that I'm able to do that. But for now, I'm really interested in working in museums and working on this side of things.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, and I wish you all the best in your future endeavors.
It was my pleasure. Thank you so much.
We are on location on Union Street downtown between Purchase and Pleasant Streets, and behind me is the Black Lives Matter mural that went up in February of 2021 during Black History Month. I'm here interviewing the founder, Tanisha Ferrer, and some of the artists who designed some of the letters. This project took several months to go from your concept to having it up here on the wall. Can you tell us how that all came together?
The 7 months took us because we couldn't find a location. We actually had to design, the participants, the volunteers, and we was able to secure the funding to be able to even pull something off like this. But it took us a couple of no's, yeses, and not right nows, and finally we got mass development through Keystone Property was able to secure the location for us and give us a 6-month period for us to display our work. The starting process and the thought process that went into organizing and creating this mural was the fact that we needed something to kind of provoke the conversation. We always hear that all lives matter or Black Lives Matter, but we're not seeing any work, and there's people still suffering behind police brutality and mass incarceration. So I wanted us to come together and to create something that kind of provoked the conversation.
Who did the overall design, and how did you find the artists for each letter?
The designs actually started through Facebook. We posted collectively and gathered a numerous amount of volunteers and participants, from painters to designers. After we came together and created a design of what we wanted with the help of David and Meredith from Bedford Creative, they actually was able to make it larger for the panel and put it as a stencil for us to be able to trace and paint through with people that didn't even have any artistic history with skills. So we was able, like myself, was able to easily be able to fill in color and paint murals.
Hi, my name is Kate Fraser Rigo. I'm the visual art teacher over at Alma Del Mar Charter School. When I found out I had the opportunity to collaborate on the mural, I knew it was my responsibility as their teacher to give my scholars that platform.
When I was making the design for the A, I had to think about things that would affect people walking by it. It actually took a long time because I didn't know what I was supposed to draw, because it wasn't like an art assignment. I wasn't being told. I had to use my own opinion. So when I was drawing, I put the lips because people wanted to be heard with their opinions on the matter. I put the hands because that's the symbol for Black Lives Matter. And I put the ear because people need to listen to what they're saying.
We are here with Styles Vasquez. Styles, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your design?
So I'm a graphic designer. I'm currently in my senior year at UMass Dartmouth. I'll be graduating over the summer. I decided to go with my design with the emphasis on the inclusion of the Black community into the pride flag.
Is there any reason you picked the letter R?
I picked the letter R because I thought it gave me the most surface area to work with. It gave me more of a canvas to put a design onto it. It was my first time I've ever done anything like this. It was really fun to step out of my comfort zone of like corporate design, and I hope to do more like work like this because it was really fun to do. It was a great experience.
We are here with Melanie Perry, who is the designer of the letter S. Melanie, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your design?
I am a graduate of criminal justice and psychology from Roger Williams. I currently am a community health worker and care coordinator out of Taunton. And my S represents all the victims that are incarcerated due to police brutality, racial profiling, wrongful convictions, and that have been incarcerated and lost years of their lives to the prison system.
This design is a really powerful message. Did the inspiration of it come to you right away, or was it a challenge coming up with it?
So it was always my goal to work with innocence projects. I know people who have been wrongfully convicted and have been victims to racial profiling and have lost years of their lives, missed out on their children's lives and things of that nature. Family gatherings, they lost loved ones and weren't able to be there with them, and things that have really affected them. So I think it's important to also look at, even if they've been exonerated or if they are out now, the years that they've lost that they can't get back.
Now I'm here with Ashley Stewart, who is the designer and artist of the letter I. Ashley, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your design?
I'm Ashley, and I am a UMass graphic design major. I love art, but I never pursued it as a career, so this was kind of right up my alley. My piece is dedicated to Elijah McClain. He died in police custody after his arrest in 2019, and I think we need to talk about those stories more, so that's why I dedicated my letter to him. And there's a picture of him and the last words that he said during his arrest.
I can tell that this is really powerful, like really moving for you. And in your portrayal of him, you have him playing the violin with the music and the hearts.
Elijah McClain would go to animal shelters and play the violin for cats, and that just kind of shows you what type of person he was. So I think that's why this piece is even more emotional.
Has being a part of this project inspired you to continue doing your art?
Yes, it definitely has, and I want to make art that's meaningful. I have worked with a couple of local communities, Taunton Diversity Network on a couple of their stand-ups that they have, and a couple of small projects too with Bridgewater Stand Up for Justice as well.